Welcome to Elevate Your Mind, your number one podcast for peak performance strategies that will enhance your mindset, develop your emotional skill set, and maybe, just maybe, be the catalyst to create positive forward momentum in your life. Here's what's to come from today's pod. Your identity shapes the thoughts you think, the feelings that you feel, and the emotions that you experience, and everything in between. Your life is a direct reflection of your identity. Boom! You think I just said that in the opening credits there as a nice little tagline? You think I said that to kick off this podcast as just a way that would be a nice introduction? Absolutely not. Write this down, write it on your forehead, write it on someone else's forehead for all I care. Your identity shapes the thoughts you think, the feelings that you feel, and the emotions that you experience, and everything in between. Your life is a direct reflection of your identity. Your life is a direct reflection of your identity. And what I mean by your identity is the way that you mentally and emotionally see yourself. We're getting cracking today. We're going straight into it. We have not got time. It is, the first 3 months of this year are gone now. The first 3 months, they've gone in a flash. And for some of us, the needle maybe hasn't moved that much. Maybe we're looking back at January and it just seems like a couple of sleeps ago. But here we are. And what's going to happen? The next 3 months are going to be the same? No chance. We need to create some shifts. We need to create some breakthroughs. That's why I bring to you this particular podcast episode around creating an identity for a breakthrough. Because if you're going to create a breakthrough in your life, in any area, in your emotions, in your physical body, in your health, in your finances, there needs to be a higher part of you to step into, a higher part of you that you can own within yourself that says, you know what, I'm going to become more, be more, grow, learn, expand emotionally to step into. Because there's going to be some truths in this episode today. There's going to be some truths. Why? Because I care. I'm very passionate, as you know, in this area, and I care about you. I care about your progress. But let me be clear. When it comes to the area of your emotions, which is what I'm most passionate about speaking to you about, the results you are experiencing right now are a direct reflection of the identity that you have in those areas of your life. And by the identity, I mean generally the way that you are seeing yourself in those areas. You are facing some areas in your life currently, and you are saying things such as, I just don't think I can, or I'm the type of person who, or I'm just always, and you are affirming and reaffirming and telling yourself this so consistently that you are owning this identity. You are owning the identity of someone who lives and is this person. And guess what? That's why 3 months down the line into 2025 of where we are now, the needle maybe hasn't moved as much as what you wish. Because the way that you mentally and emotionally see yourself in this area. Now, what I'm very, very passionate about helping you do is create a bigger, better, more enhanced and advanced identity that takes you out of this. Because that's what's going to create a breakthrough in your life. So welcome back to this particular podcast. Welcome to the number one podcast that is going to bring you the best mental strategies, breakthrough methods, emotional shifting techniques that are going to help you absolutely enhance your life. And I truly, truly believe that. At this stage, having worked with thousands of people from multiple different backgrounds and around the world and this and that, there's not much that I haven't seen. Someone who's been struggling with anxiety for 50 years or panic attacks for 40 years, hasn't been on a plane in 21 years, hasn't driven a car in 30 years, haven't left their house in 8 weeks. People come to me when they're thinking about getting themselves sectioned. That's a different one. When people can't eat and they can't swallow, or compulsive disorder. There's not much I haven't seen at this stage. And what I always know is the person who's sat in front of me, the person who's listening to me right now, whether you're with me on Spotify or YouTube, you are not your behaviours. People are not their behaviours. This trait, this limiting emotion isn't you, and you don't need me or anyone else to confirm that. And I think you know that, otherwise you wouldn't be here. But when you wear the overcoat of this identity that, I live in this little box, and let's use anxiety, I live in my anxiety box and I stay caged in my anxiety box, and I just do as much as what my anxiety box allows me to do, and this and that, and I buy into that and I reaffirm that and I tell myself that, I create a force within me that creates my reality. You don't experience real life, you experience the life that you are choosing to focus on at any given time. And see, when it comes to this identity that we are speaking about here, we need to create an identity that's bigger than this, that's bigger than our current reality. It's bigger than where we currently are. Think about when you have a goal in life, any goal. Let's say that you want to lose £10 or you want to add £10 to your bank account. You have to do new things, different actions, different behaviours that create bigger and better results in your life. If you still stay sat on the sofa, eating crisps, having donuts every day, not moving, and that's the identity that you've created for yourself, then that's not going to be the person who loses £10 in weight. Right, you create a bigger and better part of you. For those of you who are listening, who are parents here, let me ask you, when you become a parent, did you have to find a higher level of yourself? Damn right you did. Damn right you did. The life you once knew changes, and all of a sudden now you have to find a higher level of yourself. Why? Because there's this little beautiful being who now depends on you, and you have to serve this being and be there for them and love them and nourish them and feed them and change their nappies and do whatever else you have to do, and that requires a higher level of you, and every single one of you as a parent does that. Why? Because you enhanced your identity. The issue we have is when it comes to our emotions. I've said this many times before. We're physically and mentally in 2025. Some of you are still living in 1995. Right. Because when it comes to our identity and the way we mentally and emotionally see ourselves, and this is what this podcast is about today, that shift doesn't happen by chance. It happens through your direction. It happens by you taking ownership and responsibility of this and saying, I'm going to change this. I'm going to create this shift. I'm going to be the one to create this breakthrough, whatever else it may be. I'm going to take this action, make that call, book that meeting, whatever it may be. And in that moment, you step into a higher part of you. And what I'm going to share with you in this particular episode today is the ways in which you can put yourself on the precipice of an identity that will allow you to break through. Now, in a podcast episode, is it necessarily going to give you the big fundamental emotional shift like what I do when I'm working with people on my live programs? Probably not. No, I'll be honest with you. It can be a very good catalyst to create that shift for you. But what it's going to do is put you on the precipice of you being able to take control and say, right, you know what? I can see that bigger part of me. I can see that higher part of me, that more enhanced part of me. You know what? I'm done playing games. I'm done. 3 months have passed. Not much has changed. In 2025, I need to do this. Otherwise, it's going to be another 3 months. Otherwise, before I know it, I'm going to be looking at 2026 and here I am. That's not what we want here. That's not what we want. At least I don't want that for you. And hopefully you don't want that for yourself. But what that means is doing things differently to what we've already done. Right? Sound okay with you? Bingo. So let's keep this thing moving forward. You see, when it comes to your identity, and when it becomes to the way you mentally and emotionally see yourself, what we all do as human beings is we will lie, we will cheat, we will excuse the behaviours of what we make on a day-to-day basis in order to stay in line with the identity we have. Let me explain this. I do this with my clients, and do this with me, okay? If you're driving, please take care in doing this, but watch this. Who here considers themselves an honest person? And behind the screen or in your earphones, you know, you might be walking along the street on your way to work right now, or you might be sat in your front room, or you might be on the tube or on the train listening to me right now, or maybe in your car, on a dog walk. Just raise your hand or just put up a finger if you're sat somewhere, if you consider yourself an honest person. And keep that hand up if you consider yourself an honest person. Right. Now, you can only put your hand down. If you have never told a lie in your life. Never. Why is your hand still up? Because you just told me you was an honest person. So why on earth is your hand still up if you've lied before? Because your lie was justified. It was only a little white lie, wasn't it? It was only a little white lie to help someone or to do this or to do that. Remember what I just said. The honest man or woman will justify their cheating ways to stay in line with their identity. If the honest man or woman, or the person who sees themselves as honest, lies in or cheats in their physical body, or in their finances, or in their work, or in their health, or in their relationships, or in their emotions, they will always have a reason as to why. You know, I just told you that lie because, or you know what, no, and we convince ourselves of a lie because it stays in line with our identity. What I am in this process for you is the identity BSer. I'll let you work out what I mean by that, because I know why we do what we do. That's why I'm sat here delivering this podcast, because that's what fascinates me, why people do what they do. And I've studied this earnestly, I've researched this, I've done countless amounts of sessions and coaching and therapy sessions with people around this, because I know why we lie in this particular context. And it's because we want to stay in line with our identity. So now I want you to think about whatever's the limiting emotion that holds you back. Because I don't doubt for 1 second you are an honest person, but you justify it with your little white lies that you might tell people, or you might tell yourself, because, you know, there's a reason for your lie, isn't there? There's a reason for it. So when it comes to this, I want you to think about the limiting emotion that you may face. And tell me, or tell the screen, or tell your earpods, or whatever it may be, what's something that you tell yourself on a consistent basis? And something might be, oh, you know what, Matt, I don't think I'm ever going to move past it, or this is the way that I am for life, or I've tried everything, or nothing ever works for me. I'm just the type of person who's going to stay stuck here, or I have it worse than anyone else. And then go, right, you know what? Is that actually true? Or is that just something I've continually told myself over and over and over again, to a point where now I just have an identity that believes it? Is it actually true? And for those of you who are behind the screen right now, or in your earpods saying, oh, Matt, it is true, now we can see why you're stuck, because you've really cemented that identity in. You've really cemented it. Because you wouldn't, and let me catch you out here to do you a favour, you wouldn't be listening to me or watching me right now if there was that part of you that actually believed that to be true. Because otherwise, what's the point in being here? What's the point in being here? You could be listening to, you know, a comedy podcast, or you could be listening to an audio book, or you could be listening to something else on this walk right now, or on this tube, or wherever you are. But you're not, you're with me. Why? Because there is a part of you, hear me on this, there is a part of you that knows the truth. And the truth is that this isn't who you are. And you don't need me to confirm that. I said this to you a moment ago. This isn't who you are. This isn't you. This limiting emotion is not you. But what you have done is fabricated stories, fabricated beliefs in line with the fact that You've started to believe, because this might have been around for a day, a week, a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, however long it's been, you've started to fabricate lies and beliefs and stories around the fact that it cements this identity that maybe this is who I am, because you know what? To just accept it at this stage is probably easier than just to, have to do something about it. But the truth is, it's not easier. It's more painful. It makes it more painful. It might give you short-term, you know what, Matt, I just don't have to try anymore because this is just who I am. BS! I told you, I'm the BS catcher. It's BS. It's rubbish. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to tell you how you should or shouldn't feel. I'm saying this because I'm someone who lived that. I was caged for many, many years in that way. And I use the word caged because that's what it is. I was limited. I bought into these limitations. The identity of someone I believed who wasn't good enough, who couldn't overcome things, who didn't get the good things in life. And you know what, even if things start going good, no doubt it's going to come back and bite me in the backside at some point anyway. Yeah, I had all of that. All of that. So trust me, I know it very, very well. And this identity that you have cultivated for yourself through no blame or shame or finger pointing here, but like I always say, it is a responsibility of ours. The identity you have created here for yourself isn't who you are at your core, at your truth, but it's someone who you've been unwittingly buying into. You've been investing in that person. That identity within you, you've been investing in. And every time you tell yourself that limiting emotion or trait or the story or the belief that fuels that, you invest even more into it. And guess what? It pays dividends back to you. That's the identity you've created for yourself. I suppose my question for you on this particular episode is that really true? Is that really true? Honestly. Honestly. You know what? You know what? Let me put my weapons down. You know what? You're right. You're right. It is you, isn't it? It is. You were born this way. From the moment you've been born and come into this world, this is exactly who you are. There's never been moments in your life of joy and of happiness and of freedom, have there? You've never experienced what it's like to be free and experience freedom. Not even as a child you didn't do that. You was always anxious from the moment you opened your eyes as a young baby. From the moment you was going to school and everything that happened. This has always been you, hasn't it? There's never been a moment, not even one moment in your life where you've been free of this, is there? See how nonsensical that sounds. Absolute BS. I've said that a couple of times now. Of course it isn't you. Of course it isn't. So it's about time we stop buying into this trait. We stop investing in this part of our identity. Because if there's an identity we want to buy into, well, surely we want that something to be empowering. If I'm going to invest my energy, effort, emotion into a part of me and invest into myself in that way, then surely I want it to be a part of me that makes me feel more empowered and upbeat and excited and rejuvenated. Because that part's going to actually pay me back dividends as well, and that part's going to pay me back in ways that feel good, not ways that keep me compounded in this way. But here's the thing. You, me, whoever else it may be on this earth, that identity doesn't happen by chance. We need to know what is it I'm stepping into. Let me go back to the parent analogy. Let me expand two here. Parent analogy or getting a promotion at work. There's that part of you that goes, God, you know what? I'm bringing this baby into the world. There's going to require more of me in that way. And you think about what that's going to look like. Even before you're there, when you're stepping into that job, you go, God, I've been offered this promotion. Wow, it's going to require more of me. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. But you step into it. You bring a higher part of you. You do it and you're there consistently. You show up for yourself consistently. And guess what? This is where I get passionate. Guess what? After a day, a week, a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years of being that parent or being in that promotion, that's just the norm now. I've just got used to it. I just get used to it. One time that was a part where you was nervous. I'll keep it PG. You was incredibly nervous about stepping into that particular role of a parent or a promotion at work. You weren't sure if you was going to be able to do it, but you saw a vision higher for yourself. You committed to the truth and you leveled up and you went and acted and stayed in that place. And you was there consistently. You didn't waver from being that parent or doing that job. And now it's just the norm. Now you look back at when you wasn't a parent, or you look back at when you did that old job and you think, bloody hell, how easy was that? How easy was that? For some of my younger audience here, when you're in secondary school and you're doing GCSEs, God, these are big. Then when you go and do your A-levels, you look back at GCSEs and you think, oh, that was a walk in the park. Then when you go to university and you look back at your A-levels, you think, oh, geez, that was a walk in the park. Then when you're getting a job in the quote-unquote real world and you look back at university, you go, oh, you know what, yeah, there was a bit of time, but you know what, I'll take that all day now. I've got so many other things I'm thinking about. Because why? Because when you step into a higher part of you, you obliterate what sits beneath it. How could I possibly deliver this podcast to you now and do this work that I do with people around the world if I still bought into that place that, you know what, I'm not good enough and that is who I am and I've tried everything and I wouldn't. This person who you see on screen or who comes through your ears right now, I created this guy. It's still me, it's still Matt Young. It has obviously, I'm my own values and morals and who I am at my core. But I created a vision of what this was going to look like, and now I step into it every single day and I own that part of me. And I do it consistently now that that's who I've become. I've become my own parent, or had my own promotion, and I created that. That's the exact same for you. The exact same for you. And whatever your limiting emotion or whatever it may be that you've been buying into, you know, stop investing in it. I'm not saying that you're not gonna face challenges in life, or we're not gonna have obstacles. Like, we're human beings, of course we are. But does that mean I need to constantly invest in this thing that's not worthwhile? No. Think of a friend who always treats you badly, a friend who always disregards you, a friend who always lets you down, who isn't loyal, who isn't there for you. Every time you're around them makes them feel like crap. Are you going to invest in them? Are you going to invest your love, your time, your energy in someone who treats you like that? No. The same goes for your emotions. But if you want to break out of that, and the whole essence of this is creating an identity for a breakthrough, you need to know not even the details of it, but what does that part look like? I.e., a breakthrough for me, when I was stuck with feelings of feeling not good enough, not worthy, riddled with all of these anxious, depressive, worrying traits all the time, I envisioned a guy who was confident. I envisioned a guy who, you know what, who could stand in a room and not have to say anything, but he was just comfortable in his own skin. A man who could be there, own the situations that he faced. He would see challenges and look at them head on and say, you know what, I'm going to face challenges, but there's going to be a part of me that wants to dig in, that thrives underneath that wants to grow, wants to learn, wants to understand more of it, but ultimately loves the challenge that sits in front of them. A man who, you know what, when he goes into his day-to-day life, he's driven and he leads with love and he leads with care and he leads with so much passion that it fuels him. And the more passion he leads with, the more he fuels it within himself, and then he can radiate that to others. That's what I envisioned for myself way back when. I didn't know how. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I just knew I had to focus and have an identity bigger than where I currently was. Because if I had that in my mind, it gave me something to latch onto to say, you know what, that is what I'm striving for. And if that's what I'm striving for, now all I need to do is do the actions, do the behaviours, do the understand the learnings, you know, make the call, book the meeting, book the course, enroll on that thing, whatever I had to do at that stage to be able to make that identity a reality in my life. Lo and behold, here I sit. I know the way I simplify it, but life is simple. Life is simple. It is made complicated by humans. This is why I said to the start of this episode, you are not your behaviours. I wasn't my behaviours back then. You are not your behaviours right now. It's just someone who you've been choosing to invest and buy into, and therefore you've created an identity that now you have to just make real. So then you find more reasons that make this identity real, because you need to stay consistent with that, because your identity is a strong force. Well, you know what? Like the parent, like the person who got the promotion, they chose to buy into a higher part of them, and they were consistent in that area. They'd done the behaviours, the actions, all the things that I just mentioned in that area. And guess what? That's the norm of their life now. The parent, the promotion, whoever else, and whatever else it may be. This is your time. This is your time. Right now. The best time to, old Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Create that vision of what that person looks like. I do this every single year, just so we're clear. You know that dead time in between Christmas and New Year? You know, like 27th, 28th, 29th, where no one knows what day of the week it is, what time it is. There's like celebration wrappers we're finding down the side of the sofa and whatever else. Yeah, that time there, that's where I go into my little hole and I create this identity, and I do it externally and I do it internally as an identity of what this next year is going to be. What do I need to grow into? What do I need to become? I do it every single year. Every single year. What's yours? And if you don't want to do it for the year, just do it for the next 3 months. Do it for the next month. Create an identity for you that's bigger than where you currently are, and you'll put yourself on the precipice of a breakthrough. And then if you want some support in, getting yourself over the line, getting yourself, you want some guidance in how to really enhance that and keep that there long term, then of course there's options for you with that. There's multiple options for you with that. But within this particular episode, you are going to listen to this now, and some of you are coming to the end of your dog walk. You're nearly at work. You're watching me on YouTube, and you're looking at the time and okay, I've got about 5, 10, 15 minutes before I have to go and pick the kids up, or whatever it is that you're going to do. And this is just, yeah, it was a good listening. That was really interesting. That was amazing. I say it all the time. Information without action is futile. Information without action is futile. It's pointless. Pointless. We want to create a breakthrough here. I want to help you create a breakthrough here. If you want me to support you in this way, then by all means, let me know. Reach out on multiple platforms, reach out in however you wish to, and I can share with you multiple ways how I can do this. I said it actually earlier this week on my socials. I don't normally this time of year, but I run a transformational program, my life empowerment program, that I'm running for people who want to nail this thing before the summer. Before the summer. I'm running this again for people because, one, the demand of it, but two, I see that, in this first quarter, people are still stuck. People, the new year, new me, all this analogy, yeah, it doesn't quite cut it. I said at the start of the year, it's not going to cut it, but people need a shift. We need an emotional breakthrough. This is what we need to create here. Okay? Guys, don't let this be a nice listening. If there's one thing you're going to take from this episode, it's this. What does that identity look like? The identity where you want to create that breakthrough. What does it look like? Who is that person who you truly are? Write them down. Write it down. And then once you've done that, what's the type of behaviours they take? What's the daily actions that they make? How do they live? What's their core values and morals? How do they deal with challenges? Answer those types of questions, because when you do, you'll give yourself a framework for you to step into. Like the parent, like the promotion, and when you do that and you own that place and you stay there consistently, you've got a beautiful, beautiful time ahead of you. And if I can serve you in any further way, it'd be my pleasure and honour to do so. I look forward to seeing and serving you again very, very soon. It is time to elevate your mind. Take care.